power rankings. Yeah, let's just get started right here with number 32, the Carolina Panthers. They had a bye week this week, so not a lot changing for them, but they're bottom. They did lose two defenders, Jeremy Chin, safety, and linebacker. I'm not even going to try to say his name. Yotur Gross Matos. I mean, yeah, I don't know if I said that right, but yeah, they lost both of those guys to the IR, so it takes a hit to their defense when their team's already not very good. So, yeah, I'm also probably expecting them to trade a few players away ahead of Tuesday's trade deadline because a player like Brian Burns could get you picks that are more valuable than keeping him on your team. So, yeah, number 31 is the Arizona Cardinals. They lost 20-10 to Seattle this week, and tight end Zach Ertz is now on the IR. So, I mean, they didn't play horrible. They only lost by 10 to Seattle, but they lost another offensive weapon to the IR, which means Zach Ertz and James Conner are both on the IR now. So, their two best offensive weapons on the IR. And of course, Kyler Murray's hasn't played all year, but he is progressing towards playing. He could potentially be playing next week, or they said week 10 is the target. And if he's not activated by week 10, then he'll be ineligible for the rest of the season. But it's looking good for him to be playing week 10. Not sure if it's going to be any point in him playing week 10 because they'll probably be 1-7, 1-8 already by that point. So I don't know if there's really much point in playing Kyler Murray when you're already 1-8, but might as well try to get him a couple games in there. Number 30 got Chicago Bears. So they did win this week, 30-12 versus the Raiders, to improve their record to 2-5. Both backup quarterbacks. Bears played Tyson Bagent, and the Raiders played a combination of Aiden O'Connell and Brian Hoyer, which, Bagent outperformed them both substantially. He completed 70% of his passes for 161 yards and a touchdown, so a pretty decent debut, I would say, at least. And running back Dante Foreman had 120 yards and 3 touchdowns. Their defense had 3 takeaways while having 0 turnovers on offense, so they played good. It's just that a lot of the teams at the bottom here also won games this week, so the Bears don't move up. And they played against a backup quarterback, so yeah. Number 29, I got the Tennessee Titans. So they had a bye this week, but I am dropping them 6 spots because a lot of the teams that were right below them won a game this week. And, the Titans not looking really good in the first place. They also traded safety Kevin Byard to the Eagles for Terrell Edmonds and some picks. So it's an immediate downgrade there, and they're potentially on the putting players like Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins on the trade block. So that could definitely hurt them this season as well. Something also worth noting, Ryan Tannehill is not going to be playing this week, and Mike Vrabel said that both Malik Willis and Will Levis will get opportunities to play this game, which, I think that's a good move because I think it's definitely worth saying how each of them play. I think both of them are probably better than Ryan Tannehill at this point. So, yeah. Number 28 got the New York Giants. They had a surprising win this week, 14-7 over the Commanders. So nothing too special here with that victory, but it's a win nonetheless. Tyrod Taylor played really good with 279 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's just that a lot of the other teams that were right ahead of him also won this week, so couldn't really move them up too much or really at all. So yeah, and Daniel Jones still isn't probably going to play week 8. Not that Tyrod Taylor, did a bad job this week, obviously, but I still think Daniel Jones at least has more upside, obviously, than Tyrod Taylor. So number 27, we got the Las Vegas Raiders. They are dropping 3 spots after losing 12-30 to the Chicago Bears, but they had their backup quarterbacks in, so I'm not going to be too upset about them. They turned it over 3 times, but again, they had Brian Hoyer and Aiden O'Connell playing, so I'm not really expecting much from them. And they did say that Jimmy Garoppolo should be back for Week 8, so I think that'll definitely help them out a lot, obviously. Number 26 for the Green Bay Packers, dropping 5 spots after losing 19-17 versus the Broncos. Jordan Love in this game had 180 yards and 2 touchdowns with the pick. So didn't play too great there. Their offense had 1 turnover. Their defense had 2 takeaways, so they did pretty solid there. Just you lost to the Broncos, so yeah, that's all. Never good to lose to the Broncos. And that gives me here, number 25 with the Broncos, moving up 2 spots after winning 19-17 versus the Packers. So, moving up a couple spots. They did have, obviously they won the game. But Russell Wilson, he had 190 yards and 1 touchdown, so, not a great game for him, obviously. The kicker, Will Lutz, was 4 for 4 from field goals, so, that's a big reason why they won the game is because they made 4 field goals. Also, their safety, Kareem Jackson, is now suspended for 2 games, so that's not going to help them out at all. And also, tight end Greg Dulcich is on the IR, so that would hurt their offense a little bit too. So not great for the Broncos right here. Number 24, you got the Washington Commanders, dropped 4 spots after losing 14-7 versus the Giants. Sam Howell had 250 yards and a pick, so not a great game for him. Obviously, when you're only scoring 7 points, your offense isn't playing really good. So yeah, but the Commanders usually they have a good game and a bad game and a good game and a bad game. But they play the Eagles this week, so I don't know. Last time they played the Eagles, they lost by 7 points or something. So maybe they could squeeze out an upset here, but not completely confident in this team that just lost to Tyrod Taylor. Number 23, you got the Buccaneers dropping 5 spots from number 18. This was, a week they lost 16-13 versus the Falcons. You only scored 13 points, not very good. Mayfield did have 270 yards with 1 touchdown and 1 interception, so, didn't play bad, but yeah, you only scored 13 points. It's kind of a problem. You had 2 turnovers on defense, 3 takeaways, or 2 turnovers on offense, 3 takeaways on defense, and you still couldn't beat the Falcons, so kind of dropped you a little bit. Number 22, here we got the Falcons jumping 4 spots for number 26. So they're now 4-3 after beating the Bucs 16-13. So Desmond Ridder this game was pretty good, 19 of 25 for 250 yards. So he did really good, nearly 80% completion for 250 yards. So not much to complain about from him. Also, Bijan Robinson, had a surprise no-show in this game, basically, because he apparently had a headache and isn't reported or whatever. But they still won this game without their best offensive talent, Bijan Robinson playing. So that's a good sign for the Falcons, but they're just very inconsistent. That's why they're only at number 22, despite having a winning record. Then we got the Colts at 21, jumping 1 spot actually from 22 after they did lose this game, but they lost by 1 point, 39-38 versus the Cleveland Browns. Granted, the Browns didn't have Deshaun Watson for most of this game, as he did get injured, but the Colts are obviously with their backup quarterback and Gardner Minshew as well, so not much to say about that. Gardner Minshew did play really good this week, having 300 total yards with 1 interception and 2 passing and 2 rushing touchdowns. So 4 total touchdowns with 300 yards and only 1 pick. It's a really solid performance from Gardner Minshew. This team that just put up 38 points against the Browns, who didn't even let the 49ers break 17. So I would say that's a pretty solid performance for the Colts here. Number 20 got the New Orleans Saints, dropping 1 spot from number 19-20 after they did lose by 7, 31-24 versus the Jaguars. So they played a pretty good game, only losing by 7 to the Jags, who are one of the better teams in the league. So that's why they only dropped down 1 spot. And they did have a chance at the end of the game to tie it if Foster Moreau didn't drop the wide open touchdown pass that did hit him in the hands. So, Yeah, they definitely could have dropped more. But yeah. Number 19, you got the New England Patriots. They jumped up 10 spots from 29 all the way to 19. Despite being 2 and 5, I have them ranked number 19 just because they did beat the Buffalo Bills this week, 29-25. And Max Jones played really good, completing 25 of 30 passes. That's over 80% for 272 yards and 2 touchdowns with 0 interceptions. So he played insanely good this week. Their offense had 1 turnover. Their defense had 2 takeaways. And, obviously beating the Bills, who are one of the better teams in the league, is, is gonna lead you to jumping up quite a few spots in the rankings. They've been to the Rams at number 18, dropping 4 spots from number 14 after losing to the Steelers this week. They lost. Let's see. They lost. I don't have the score. They lost by 7, I believe, this game to the Steelers. Matthew Stafford didn't even throw for 50% completion, which is pretty bad. Puka Nacua had 150 yards this week, but Cooper Kupp did nothing this week. Their kicker was 1 for 3 on field goals, so they cut Brett Maher. Surprise, surprise, Brett Maher sucks, right? But yeah, so the Rams dropping 4 spots after losing to the Steelers. Yeah. Got the Chargers dropping 4 spots this week after losing to the Chiefs. They lost 31-17 versus the Chiefs. Justin Herbert had 250 yards, a touchdown, but also 2 picks. What surprised me was that Josh Palmer was the leading receiver with 133 yards. Didn't expect that, but they did have 2 turnovers on offense, as well as 2 takeaways on defense, but just could not stop the Chiefs' offense. And yeah, not the best offensive performance for themselves. Number 16, I got the Houston Texans staying at number 16. They had a bye this week, so I don't really got nothing else to say about them. And I got the Jets at 15, who also are staying at their same spot after coming off of a bye week, and that's all I got to say about them. Number 14, got the Minnesota Vikings jumping 11 spots after beating the San Francisco 49ers 22-17. Kirk Cousins played really good, like he usually has been. 378 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 pick. Actually played really good and won a game on primetime, so that was surprising. They won this game without Justin Jefferson, and Jordan Addison took over Justin Jefferson's load with 123 yards and 2 touchdowns himself. So, and their defense had 3 takeaways. So, yeah, just a pretty solid game all around for Minnesota. Leading to the Browns, they dropped in 1 spot after beating the Colts 39-38. But yeah, most of why they're dropping is because running back Jerome Ford is doubtful for this week, which is obviously not good because now Kareem Hunt is basically their only running back they got right now, which is still pretty good. But he was originally not even on the roster, and now he's their lead back. So that should be interesting to see how Kareem Hunt does. And Deshaun Watson got injured again in this game, which kind of a problem because he was out for a few games and he just got back for about a quarter before he got injured again. So kind of a problem. PJ Walker this game didn't even play great. Only 178 yards with less than 50% completion. It's just that their running game was really good. Hunt had 2 touchdowns. Ford had a touchdown. Myles Garrett played really good this game with 2 sacks, a strip sack that forced a touchdown for them, and he blocked a field goal. So Myles Garrett played really good this game, and their running game was really good. We got the Steelers at number 12, jumping up 5 spots from number 17 after they beat the Rams 24-17. Kenny Pickett had 230 yards and a touchdown. So he played pretty solid. They did lose Pat Freiermuth to the IR, which isn't good, but they're sitting here at 4-2, which is obviously pretty solid record, and they just beat the Rams, who I thought were a pretty solid team. So it's looking good for the Steelers right now. Number 11, I got the Bills dropping 5 spots from 6 all the way to 11 after losing to the Patriots 29-25. Josh Allen had 265 yards, 3 total touchdowns, and a pick. So he still played pretty good, but ultimately they did lose to the Patriots, which is kind of sad. They made Mac Jones look like the best quarterback in football almost. So that's really sad for their defense. Their offense also got a couple injuries this week, with running back Damian Harris on the IR and tight end Dawson Knox on the IR. So we'll probably be seeing more out of Dalton Kincaid now that Knox is on the IR. But, I think the loss of Knox still hurts the team. Number 10, you got the Lions dropping 7 spots from number 3 all the way to number 10 after they got blown out 38-6 versus the Baltimore Ravens. Jared Goff did not throw a touchdown. He threw 280 yards and a pick, so not great there. They also cut wide receiver Marvin Jones after he said he was stepping away from football to deal with personal matters, so they just ended up releasing him to save the roster spot. Hope he's doing well, but I think that's a loss to the receiver depth for sure. Number 9, I got the Seahawks jumping 2 spots from 11 up to number 9 after they beat the Cardinals 20-10. I mean, not a great win, but they did. I mean, it's a 10-point win versus the Cardinals, which you expect them to win that game by at least 10 points. So, I guess it's decent. All right. Geno Smith played pretty good, 75% completion for 220 yards and 2 touchdowns. Their offense did have 3 turnovers this game, though, while having 0 takeaways. But even with doing that, with losing the turnover battle 3-0, they still won the game by 10 points, which is pretty good. And they also signed defensive end Frank Clark, who looked like he was going to sign with Kansas City. But I guess the Chiefs changed their mind, and then he went back to his other former team in the Seattle Seahawks. And number 8 now, we got the San Francisco 49ers. They were number 1 2 weeks ago, and now they're number 8. So after losing their second straight game this week to the Minnesota Vikings, 22-17, Brock Purdy had 270 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. So not great there. McCaffrey had 2 touchdowns and nearly 100 yards this game, but he also had a fumble. So, still played really good, even though he had a fumble. Their offense had 3 turnovers this week, so ultimately not ideal. Deebo Samuel was also supposed to be out for week 8 as well. He missed the week 7 game. Brock Purdy is supposed to be out for week 8 after suffering a concussion, I guess in practice or something, because he still ended up playing all of the week 7 game. So, and their offensive line tackle Trent Williams, he also missed the week 7 game, and he's questionable for week 8. So interesting to see how that plays out, but I'm not sure if the Niners are going to be able to beat the Bengals with Sam Darnold as quarterback. So, number 7 here, got the Bengals jumping up 3 spots from number 10. So they jumped up 3 spots on their bye week because, the teams right below them lost their game. So, that's all I got to say about that. They got the Cowboys jumping up 2 spots after their bye week, because the teams below them lost some games. So, number 5 now. Got the Miami Dolphins dropping from 2 to number 5. After they lost 31-17 versus the Philadelphia Eagles, Tua had, only 216 yards with 1 touchdown and 1 pick, so not a great game for him at all. Their defense had 2 takeaways, but they still ended up losing the game by 2 scores. So, not a great look for the Dolphins, who have played only 2 teams this season with a winning record and lost both of those games. So by 2 scores at least. So not a good look for them. Number 4, got the Jags moving up 5 spots from number 9 all the way down for 4. After the Jaguars this week, they beat the Saints 31-24. So they didn't even play amazing. It's just, I moved them ahead of the bye week teams, and I moved them ahead of the Dolphins, who lost a game. So, moved them ahead of a couple teams who lost and moved them ahead of the bye week teams because at least they did win this week. Etienne had 2 touchdowns. T-Law, measly 200 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. So T-Law did not play great, but Etienne played great again like he has usually been doing. So I got the Jags at number 4. Got the Ravens at number 3, moving up 4 spots toward number 7 after they obliterated the Lions 38 to 6. Lamar Jackson had nearly 400 yards with 4 touchdowns. He played really good. Mark Andrews had 2 touchdowns himself on National Tight End Day, so got to give the tight end some love there. Yeah, number 2, I got the Eagles jumping 3 spots from number 5 to number 2 after they beat the Dolphins 31 to 17, and they also traded safety Terrell Edmonds and some picks for safety Kevin Byard. So they got an upgrade at the safety spot to just make their defense even more impressive, even though it's already been really good. AJ Brown this week had another game of 125 yard receiving, so I think he tied Calvin Johnson and Stud still or whatever for the most. If he gets 125 yards in this next game, he'll have the record for most consecutive 125 yard games. So that's an interesting stat for AJ Brown. Now that gives us the number 1 team, which is again the Kansas City Chiefs, after they beat the Chargers 31 to 17. And Mahomes threw for 420 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 pick, so he played amazing this week. Travis Kelce had 12 catches for 180 yards and a touchdown. He played amazing this week on National Tight End Day, obviously. Bad thing about the Chiefs this week, they did lose linebacker Nick Bolton. He dislocated his wrist or whatever and had to get surgery and is going to be missing 2 months. So, losing one of your better defensive players for 2 months is obviously a blow. But, their offense has looked dominant in the recent weeks. At least this week. And, and I think their defense has not allowed over 20 points. They've only allowed 21 points max this season, and they haven't allowed over 20 points since then. So they have one of the better defenses in the league already. So I'm not sure losing Nick Bolton is going to hurt their team too much. Now let's get into my record or my game picks here. I got the Bills over the Bucks. That should be an easy pick, right? I got the Eagles over the Commanders. That should also be an easy pick. I understand the last time these two teams played, it was a close game, but the Eagles have looked better as of recently. So if they can beat the Dolphins by 14, I think they should be able to beat the Commanders, right? I got the Titans beating the Falcons as my upset of the week. With rookie Will Levis slated to start in that game, and Malik Willis is also supposed to get some playing time. So I got 2 inexperienced quarterbacks, one being a rookie in his first ever game. I think they're going to be able to beat this Falcons team. I got the Jets over the Giants. I just don't think the Giants are very good, with especially with Tyrod Taylor at quarterback instead of Daniel Jones. Even though he just played really good, I still believe in the Jets to win that game. Got the battle of the 1 versus 2 overall picks. C.J. Stroud versus Bryce Young. Bryce Young has yet to win a game this week, and the Texans are coming off a bye. So, and the Jets are also coming off a bye, I believe. So, I like the bye teams here. That's my lock of the week here is Dolphins over the Patriots. Dolphins just lost to the Eagles. Patriots just beat the Bills. So, by that math, Patriots should be able to win this game. But, the NFL doesn't really work that way. So, I believe Patriots just had good luck with the game, and the Dolphins, are going to get themselves back on track against a bad opponent in the New England Patriots here. So, I got the Cowboys beating the Rams this week. I think the Cowboys are just a better team. Rams are solid, but, Cowboys are pretty good, and they're coming off a bye, so I believe in them here. I got the Jags over the Steelers. Both teams did just win last week. I think the Jags will win this game. I think it'll be close, but I trust the Jags more than I trust Kenny Pickett right now, so, yeah. I got the Vikings over the Packers. Come on. I don't think Aaron Jones is questionable, I believe, this week, so we'll see if he even plays. I know the Packers did just lose to the Broncos, and the Vikings just beat the 49ers, so by that logic, I will think the Vikings could beat the Packers here. Got the Colts over the Saints. That could be a game going either way, but I think the Colts just looked really good against the Browns defense, so why can't they look good against the Saints defense? Got the Seahawks beating the Browns. Deshaun Watson's not playing. Jerome Ford's probably not playing, so Seattle should have the upper hand this week, especially if Frank Clark does debut this week. Seahawks should definitely win that game. Ravens over the Cardinals. I mean, the Cardinals are just bad, so yeah. But the Bengals over the Niners. I mean, Niners did just lose to the Vikings, and the Bengals are coming off a bye week, so I like the bye teams. The Chiefs over the Broncos. I mean, come on. This game doesn't make sense. I mean, I don't understand why the the Chiefs just played the Broncos 2 weeks ago, so the NFL scheduling has some problems. When 2 out of 3 weeks you're playing the same team, doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. But whatever. Considering we haven't even played the Raiders once, and we're playing the Broncos a second time in 3 weeks. Got the Chargers over the Bears this week. I mean, Justin Fields is not supposed to be playing, so Chargers should easily go to win that game. Then I got the Lions over the Raiders. I think the Lions will bounce back over their very disappointing loss to the Ravens. I don't think they're gonna, get embarrassed 2 weeks in a row. But yeah, my Week 7 record was not very good, going a measly 6-7. So I really hope to bounce back this week, and I think I will. I think these games are easier to predict than last week's games, so hopefully I can do better. And it's also we have 16 games again this week. We have no bye teams here after having 6 bye teams last week, which also doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. How you go from 6 bye teams to 0 bye teams. NFL scheduling just seems a little bit confusing in that regard, but it's whatever. My total record is still nearly 70%. I'm winning over 2/3 of my games at a 71-35 record. My lock of the week record is 8-1, and my upset of the week record is 5-2. So pretty solid there. And yeah, that's the video. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below, and make sure to come back next week for an updated power rankings list.